Yo, checking in Sacred Sunday. Give thanks and praise for another beautiful day. Yes, sir. Yeah, man. So, just getting in the steps. Simple stuff. Daily 10k steps, including the cardio. Non-negotiables. Non-negotiables. Non-negotiables, we talk about it all the time, but let's talk about it again. As a reminder, non-negotiables are required if we ever really want to get anywhere, ever really want to be achieving anything, because we need to be consistent in our pursuit, consistent and also persistent. Without consistency and without persistence, persisting on your goal, repeating the same things over and over often, then it doesn't put us in a great space to be actually achieving too much for ourselves. Yeah, we can be gifted and given things, but we want to be actually achieving things for ourselves, which is really the rewarding thing. Then got to have non-negotiables in place. And the reason why it's got to be non-negotiable is because, for the simple reason that we're not always going to feel like doing it. And what's it? Well, that depends upon what we're talking about. Could be, if we're talking business, could be making business calls. Could be, booking in those meetings. Could be making that negotiation, etc. Start putting things off and not getting the non-negotiables done, then what can be said? Similar on the fitness or health and fitness, let's say, plane. We're not doing things to look after ourselves time and time again, then how are we going to be receiving the outcome? It's just the way of the world, isn't it? It's the way of the world that certain things need doing that we're not always going to feel like doing. And once we don't feel like doing something and we just don't bother, that can then snowball into a downward slope of just, whenever you don't feel like it, simply don't bother. And then on the other side of that, there, after doing this for X amount of time of just simply not bothering to do things, not setting non-negotiables, quite frankly, being, let's tell it as it is, sloppy in conduct, then get people complaining about, never having good luck and not being fortunate enough, not being gifted enough, etc., etc. And yes, of course, there's merit that some people are gifted with a lot more from a start point in life, but it's about the progression and journey as well. Because you see a lot of people have so much. From the outside looking in, it seems like some people have so much given to them, whether that be material items, even finances gifted. If you're born into a load of money and you have access to all these things, or if you're born with certain gifts, certain physical gifts, whatever the case may be, certain abilities. Yeah, maybe you're very clever and good with something. You can often observe people with so many gifts, however they're still not happy, still not content. Yeah, often in deep states of discontentment and unhappiness. So what's that all about? What are you unhappy for? You got everything. Well, perhaps it's not, because perhaps it's the journey that lacks. Perhaps it's the journey that lacks stepping into action and doing something for oneself and achieving for oneself, not simply being handed something. It's two different things. And when you work for it and attain it, there's a whole different vibe there. My phone on low battery, 10%. There's a whole different vibe there because you've achieved it, right? You're proud, you've done it. You did it. You put your life, energy to a certain endeavor. You made it happen. You created. Because we are created. We are creators by nature. So if we're creators and we're here and we're not really creating, not really progressing, not really advancing for ourselves, then it's more likely that unhappiness will creep in and discontentment will exist. It's not the place to be at. Place to be at, in my opinion, is in a state of peace of mind. Oftentimes that's got to be earned, not simply given. If we're sitting idle, not doing anything, not helping others, and not helping ourselves, then it's not a great look. Well, it might be a good look, but it's not a good feeling from within, because we know whether or not we've put in the work. We know whether or not we're staying true to our word. We know whether we're on that pathway to being our best possible selves. And what is better than the feeling? What could be better than the feeling of knowing that you're here and becoming your best possible self? That's what I aspire to. It's always a work in progress, man. There's so much to be worked upon, but that's the beautiful thing. And personally, I feel like I'm miles off. But the beautiful thing is to be working toward it. And it will all start. The platform is priorities. Let priority be the platform, be the springboard to stepping into action. Priorities, what are they? What are the priorities in your life? It's got to be clear, it's got to be crystal clear. And then from that, carry out the days with the right intent and purpose, and then we act with meaning behind the actions. Wholesome. Just hearing that, the logic stands to reason. I think very logically. So that works for me, at least. Top priorities: number 1, always family. Number 2 is career at this point in life. And then number 3 is the hobbies. Yes, sir. A short walk and talk for today. You know, if you have something on your mind, express it. However that may look, whether you express that artistically, whether you're expressing that just through spoken word, whether you're expressing that through some sort of a physical recreation, express and get whatever you have in your mind and your heart off your mind, off your heart. And honor feelings always honor how you feel. Emotions don't need to be pushed off to the side, but they can be transmuted. Taking these headphones here, taking either the positive or negative energy of emotions and always transmuting into something productive and powerful. Something productive and powerful to propel forward. Take control of that energy, harness that energy each and every single time. And always help those around you as much as possible. The more that you help others, the more that you're helping yourself at the same time. Alright then. Once I'm finished up with these steps, Gonna go ahead, get the breakfast in, couple of hours of work after that, getting prepared for next week. So you like to be ahead of the curve, and then from there onwards I'm gonna get the weight training session in, which is the real treat of the day. It's a treat, not a chore, to be able to go and work out for me, you know. And yes, that's not everybody's cup of tea. At the same time, I think we can all we all have interests, right? We all have interests. Turn those interests into passions and hobbies as much as possible. And if you can, help people out with your passion or your hobby along the way. It becomes a really beautiful thing. And we have things that are creating an environment such that we can't wait to wake up the next day to pursue our passions, to pursue our hobbies, to pursue the next day. That's a great place to be in. So if you have something like that in your life, honour it, nurture it.